back with another music review today, and that's for Normandie's Atmosphere. And honestly, today's been another crazy music release Friday because Youngblood released Weird, which I haven't actually listened to yet, and it's driving me insane. Grandson dropped his new album, and Charming Liars, who were among my top 5 artists of, according to Spotify Wrapped of 2020, they also released a track, which I also haven't listened to. And I haven't listened to Normandie's Atmosphere either, and I am about to do that now, which is exciting. Just want to throw out there that Normandie made it in my top 2. They were my most second listened to artists. The only ones that took the top spot were Halle Royale, and I'm actually surprised. I would have thought it was Normandie. Yeah, but I guess when Darker Beautiful Secrets is out, that will be it. I'm just calling it now. Normandie will be my Artist of the Year 2021. Oh my god, did I just dig myself a grave there? I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so Atmosphere is the 3rd single. They're dropping off their new album, and this one is going to be pretty different from the other two. I think this one was really quiet. It also matches the theme. Once again, they put up a little behind the scenes video, which I'll quickly put in here so you know which one it is. You can find it on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, everywhere. And yeah, like I said, for Holy Water, highly recommend you watch those because they just give you a little bit of an idea of what kind of a headspace or what kind of a vibe this song is. So yeah, let's get right into it, I'd say. Oh wow, what a beautiful song. That's all I'm gonna say off the back. It's so incredibly beautiful. So I'm gonna read through the lyrics again and then go through the video. But yeah, wow, this is beautiful. What I really appreciate about Normandie is that on their albums, they always have this quiet track. On White Flag, it was The Bell and Summer to an extent, and then we have Epilogue and Ingus. I think that's how you pronounce it right. I'm such a fake fan. But yeah, I really like it, throwing a little quiet track in the mix there. So yeah, this seems to be the quiet one for Dark and Beautiful Secrets. Maybe we'll get another quiet one, who knows. Within the span of the last 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I don't know how long it was, I just completely scribbled 8 of these post-its. They're completely full with notes, of course. Of course they had to be in orange. This was totally planned. It's not because orange are the only sticky notes I had on my disc. No, it's because Normandie's new era is orange, of course. I'm gonna go through the video again and then just break apart the lyrics, how I understand them. Obviously, once again, I feel like I've broken records saying this, but I just want to point it out that I don't know the experiences that stand behind this because obviously they are Philip's, they are not mine, but I'm just going to talk about how I understand it and how I relate to the lyrics, I guess. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, let's stop it here. First of all, catchy. I'm already singing along. Basically, this first part with the in the middle of the night. I see it also clear, I'm alone in your atmosphere. And atmosphere, I think, is like a really interesting word here because I feel like it can mean multiple things. Because on one hand, atmosphere, of course, our earth has an atmosphere, so it's like alone on this earth, alone on this planet. But then also because this online world has developed that seems so real that it almost seems to have its like own atmosphere, like everything digital, your phone kind of creates its own world, and that has an atmosphere. So alone in that digital atmosphere, alone in the actual atmosphere. And that atmosphere, of course, is another word that could also refer to an atmosphere, like a situation or a place has. You can be like, ooh, this is like a weird atmosphere. I feel like alone within the atmosphere of the situation. So that's a really interesting way that you can just interpret that so differently. What I think is really interesting here with Blind by the Light, I'm just gonna stop it here already, is we have this really dingy room, which I think is really nice. It has like this feeling of this almost weird old motel room. Everything's really gray, the colors are really faded. You have the blinds down, but like still a little bit of a light is peeking through. So it's almost like on one hand you're shutting out the world because it's bright day, but you're not really letting the day, so not really letting the outside world come in. You're kind of staying in this dark nook with just like a few rays of sunlight kind of breaking through. But then at the same time, blinded by the light, like he has his phone in his hands and he's like playing around with it. And the light from the phone, we all know it, if we use our phone at night, it's just like, oh, please don't. So since he's talking about being alone in the middle of the night and then blinded by the light, it can also refer to the blinding of the phone. Take me anywhere, so anywhere but here, anywhere but this real life, like take me into this digital world, show me this other universe, you could almost say. Pulling you in. There's also the sense of you getting addicted to it, or it's being like so easy to fall into the rabbit hole, like in the palm of your hand when you have the phone. We all know how easy it can be to get lost in the YouTube nirvana, where you just click on one video and then suddenly you end up in, I don't know, rabbits learning how to waltz or something like that, and that's no different. And of course a big part of that is also social media, how you can just like get lost in it and hours and hours will pass. Also TikTok is a wonderful example of hours and hours passing with you not actually doing anything, and you feel like you're really interacting, but really, are you though? Trying to take yourself out from that phone world, from that digital world, and at the same time you're disappearing from it, and you're also disappearing from the real world a little bit. It's like you're neither in the real life nor in the digital. You're always like pushing and pulling yourself in between. And maybe also there's an aspect of building an online persona, because that is something we all shouldn't forget, that how a person is online is just a teensy tiny fraction of who they actually are. But this persona can actually be blown out of proportion, that it feels like this person feels a lot more like you than the actual you. So when you kind of exit that digital world, you disappear in a way, or you feel like you disappear, because that person is not there once you're out of that digital world. You are in the real space as a real person, and you might feel lost in that, in your actual personality. If that makes sense. I don't know if this makes any sense, or if that's like super abstract in my mind, just being like super hyper philosophical about this whole thing. I'm sorry. And then we have the whole I need somebody. So this longing for connection, that you want to escape this loneliness and you were just looking for a way to do that. And obviously the focus here is that you're looking for that escape in a digital realm. They also talk about how, especially like during quarantine, this aspect of like loneliness and everything was just so exponential. A big part of that was during quarantine and lockdown, a lot of people had to look for these kind of connections online because you just physically couldn't see anybody. Here, honestly, I don't know who I'd be without it. I'm assuming this refers to it as in the phone, or like, I always say phone, but obviously that applies for like laptop, tablet, and any kind of device that will allow you to enter this digital realm, kind of. Yeah, but you don't know who you'd be without it, or maybe also it also being this online community, online persona. You don't know who you'd be if you didn't have that. I think this is probably one of my favorite lyrics in the entire song. Misery loves company, because once again this can be interpreted multiple ways. I'm just going to say two ideas that popped into my head when I first heard this. So misery loves company, obviously, because this is talking about loneliness and isolation. When you're in such a headspace, you're obviously in a miserable place, or you feel miserable, and the solution to not feeling miserable when you're lonely obviously seems to be being in someone's company. So basically misery loves company, as in loves being with someone so they're not miserable anymore. But then the whole misery loves company can also be interpreted in a way that multiple people that are miserable because they are alone, or because they're just like feeling sad, they're anxious, they're in a bad headspace, they look for other people who find themselves in the same spot, or like all these people that feel like that automatically in a way find themselves in the same online community, if that makes sense. So that's kind of the two meanings I filtered out from this. So basically, surrounded by people but still numb, this kind of shows the desire of wanting to connect and connecting in a way, but not having this genuine human emotional connection that just warms your heart, that stimulates your mind, that is just not there. These connections are kind of empty, and you feel kind of empty as a result, and by spending all this time alone and feeling lonely, feeling anxious, you just become numb. And honestly, I'm done. Like, he doesn't want to feel it anymore. You don't want to feel it anymore. It's almost like a quiet cry for help. And this, I'm just going to talk about the shot real quick, because I feel like I haven't really mentioned much of that. The little silhouette here, it's almost, once again, like with the light and almost disappearing. There's this schematic, is that how you call it? In German would say schemenhaft. So he's just there very like schemenhaft schematic with like the stark contrasts and everything. I feel like this sets the mood of this so nicely, and it's such a beautiful shot. This kind of picks up the idea that the previous lyrics already hinted at, that here, like, I lost myself, getting lost in on the socials, getting lost in that atmosphere of the social networks, or like the online world. Feels like I'm burning up. Social media especially social media, can really burn you out, especially if you have a lot of people following you or like wanting to interact with you. And I'm just gonna say that now, like, Normandie are amazing, because they really, they're so humble and appreciative. They really interact a lot with their fans individually, but also like on the band account and stuff, and on different social media channels as well. And I think it's actually incredible how they're able to do that, because they are steadily growing. They're not a tiny band, they're not a small band, and they're still so available all the time, and really difficult in such a situation in order not to burn out, even for people that don't have a massive following. But if you're like online, constantly interacting, looking at stuff, it just really drains you. Like, technology really drains you, and I feel like everyone, especially our generation, has felt that before. And that's the whole idea. Like, you're always there, but at the same time your heart is cold. Once again, that actual human connection is what your heart would need to warm up, but you're not getting that no matter how hard you're trying. Okay, let's go over these real quick. It's kind of, you're trying to say how you're feeling about the whole thing, that you're lonely, that you're burnt out, that you're feeling anxious. You're trying to say it, maybe even hinting at it online through a post or something, maybe not. But in the online world, people don't necessarily always catch on. they don't really see how you in the real world out there are feeling, are changing maybe even. And so it's kind of like this idea of screaming, but like nobody hears it. And then also the aspect where he mentions in the lyrics here. It's like also the aspect of people, like they can't see, and you don't want them to see how you're feeling. You don't want them to see that you're feeling like shit, that you're alone. You don't want to admit that you can't be alone and that you're trying to find some sort of salvation in the online world. And once again, I feel like this is just such a beautiful shot of Philip just like lying on the floor with the lighting and everything and having his phone there, and like the gaze is so empty. It's like this just drifting away, and the numbness is captured so well visually here. This is such a good video, even though it's not as crazy as the past two. I still really appreciate this. So in the middle of the day, I see you everywhere. That's kind of when people, oh my god, my laptop is gonna run out of charge real soon. That's kind of when people are online, everything is buzzing, and you can just escape into that world, forget about your problems. I mean, there's multiple studies that show that if people are stressed and they're feeling anxious about stuff that is actually happening in the real world, they tend to escape into the online world, be that through watching Netflix, going on YouTube, going on Instagram, Twitter, whatever. They spend more time there, like especially if you have like deadlines and you're stressed out by deadlines, instead of getting going on these actual deadlines that are happening, you decide to spend even more time online because you're trying to escape the discomfort, and social media or like online world helps you do that very well. It helps you distract yourself very, very well and not think about your actual problems in the actual world out there. I shut you down. You shut me out. I shut you down. You shut me out and disappear. So that's actually interesting. I just had another thought on this. On one hand, this can definitely refer to I shut you down as in shutting down the phone, shut you out, shut this online world out, shut this online community out, and then disappear. As in, you're so strongly tied to that and your online persona that when you turn that off, you're just gone. Like actual you is gone, and it feels like a big part of you is missing. But maybe this could also refer to the fact that you're spending so much time online in this like parallel universe that you're starting to shut down and shut out the real world and disappear in the real world. So it could basically work for both of the worlds. So you're finding a different kind of isolation in both, if that makes sense. Once again, I feel very philosophical, and I don't know if this makes any sort of sense. Oh my god. Honestly, this song really hits hard. I think what just adds to the whole thing. I mean, this is obviously not only relevant to quarantine and lockdown, but that sort of topic that they're raising, the issue they're raising, they're discussing, has, of course, a very different meaning or a different intensity if you view it in the lockdown context, because this whole quarantine, lockdown, pandemic thing threw a lot of people off, I think. I mean, I can definitely not speak for everyone because everyone has dealt with it differently, but I can speak for myself and I can speak for a lot of people I know that this whole thing of not being able to see your friends, or a lot of times even your family, just it really messes with you, especially if you're a very social person. Thank goodness there are things like FaceTime where you can just like hop on, you can have a call, you can talk, and it's a lot more natural for people our generation already as it is, but it's just not the same quality as sitting face to face with someone, even if it's just having a coffee, having a laugh, like seeing everything feeling their vibes, their energy. It's just, it doesn't really transfer through a screen or through a phone. And I don't want to say that I haven't met great people over lockdown online. Definitely, I've really gotten to know some amazing people. You can interact with so many different people from all over the place. But I think it's so important that you don't lose the touch with actual reality, because this is the actual world we live in, and we need to make sure that we make the most of it and don't get so lost in this digital world, which is just numbers at the end of the day. That it does have people behind it, of course, but this world is just numbers, and this is physical, this is real. And we need to make sure that we find a balance for ourselves in order not to burn out, in order not to get lost and feel isolated from everything. Something we should all kind of try to learn, because being alone but not feeling lonely is so difficult to do. But I think it's so important to be able to spend time with yourself in like the actual here and now, and not feel like you're lacking anything. So yeah, thank you so much for coming to my TED Talk, I guess. Sorry, I went off on a little tangent there. But yeah, this is just, you can see this song really does a lot for me, and it just gets a lot of wheels turning, and I think that's beautiful when music does that, and that's what I love about music. So yeah, I'm gonna shut up now because I've been talking for way too long once again. But just gonna say 2 thumbs up for the song once again. Normandie, you did an incredible job, and you can really be proud of what you're coming up with, because this stuff has a message. It's not only musically beautiful, but it has a message, and it'll reach people, it'll connect with people, and that's really what you want at the end of the day. So yeah, thank you to everyone who's watched. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I hope you'll stick around for future videos. Just to be notified, subscribe, click the bell, and I'll hopefully see you again. And tell your loved ones you love them.